I've spent a bunch of time doing RDLs, Romanian deadlifts. I've done a whole bunch of time with block pulls, rack pulls. But it occurred to me today that I've never actually spent any amount of time, any meaningful amount of time doing conventional deadlifts for reps. I always assumed, this is the thing with the brain, so I always assumed that it was too expensive. Yet I've done a whole bunch of heavy RDLs, 2 or 3 times a week, up to 200 kilos for 5 sets of 5 earlier in the year. I've done block pulls and rack pulls, 4 or 5 sets of 10. That's heavy work. Deficits, if you think about it, I've done everything but the conventional. I've done even longer ranges of motion, for sets of 5 and 10 and all that, but I've never done a conventional deadlift. And so today, I actually came in, I wanted to squat, but I found I couldn't squat. My calves are short, my mobility's whack, and now I've got these minimalistic shoes on, which are true flat shoes, and I'm even more challenged with the dorsiflexion. I tried my best, I tried to ambulate, I went for a run, I stretched out a little bit, I just could not feel comfortable in the front squat. I worked up to 160, it felt horrible. I thought I'll do back squats, that also felt horrible. Everything felt horrible. I think my balance is now off with these shoes. I feel like I've got such little dorsiflexion now that I feel like I'm leaning over a whole bunch. It just feels wrong. So that was the story of today. I wanted to kind of do the whole reverse pyramid again, like I did a few days ago. It wasn't going to happen. And so when that happens, I thought, okay, so I can't bend my ankles. I can't dorsiflex. I'll do deadlifts. You don't need a lot of dorsiflexion for that. So then I, worked up. We got up to 260. I failed that. Once again, no leg drive. I don't know what the dorsiflexion is limiting there or whatever. I missed it. And I decided to, okay, either I go to rack pull or I just go off the floor. And so for today, I decided, okay, let's do the whole floor thing. So I decided on 200. 200 is, I don't know, it feels like a pretty good number. I was using 180 for sets of 10. So I thought, okay, off the floor, it should be a little bit easier than rack pulls. So I thought, let me go 200 instead of the 180 and I'll try to get a set of 10. I got a set of 8 the first time. Second set, I did a 6. And then the third set, I did a 4. But I have done 200 kilos for a set of 10 in the past, actually a few months ago. I think that was around the period that I was doing the deficit pulls. So I knew I had it in me. I got to the 8th rep and I thought, oh my God, like I probably can't get 9th and 10th, but I'm going to be a spent human being if I go for these. So I didn't. Instead, I kind of added a few more sets, and that's kind of how I got the volume. But while I was doing that, I kept thinking, why am I scared of the conventional deadlift off the floor? I've done a deficit, I've done blocks, RDLs, rack pulls, but I've never done it like a period off the floor. That's basically a rough story of my year. I started off with the RDLs. I wrote it on the cover of the book that I started this year. Fresh new logbook. I wrote it on the cover, RDLs, and I went into detail why I think RDLs are so beneficial. And then I just, did it really well for, I think, about a month or 2. I don't think it was 2 months. Went on this crazy period of squatting really well. I didn't connect the 2 dots. I wasn't really understanding what the driving mechanism, what the cause of me squatting was at the time. It took me a little while to kind of find my way back to deficit pulls. Then I decided to do block pulls, rack pulls, all of that. And now I'm at a stage where I'm like, well, let me spend some time doing conventional deadlifts. Now, what is the difference? The way I did these conventional deadlifts for reps is basically like an RDL with extra range of motion. So I'm not resting the bar on the floor. They're not complete stop in between reps. They're more kind of like, not bouncing. I know what people mean when they bounce. I'm not bouncing it, but I'm kind of touch and go. So it's kind of like an RDL in a way. More range of motion than a rack pull, more range of motion than a block pull, RDL. But I just have this want now to spend some time doing the actual thing. So I can tell you that RDLs back in the day definitely helped me because they contributed to me hitting that 265 kilo deadlift. And that was in February. Okay, now it's freaking November and I'm not beating that PR. It's been a long time. At the time when I hit that, February PR, I was like, oh man, this year's going to be crazy. Because I've set out, to hit 280 this year. Just add another 20 kilos, like it is easy to freaking add 20 kilos to a deadlift. But that's kind of what I wrote. It was a lofty goal, but I wanted to do that. And at the time in February, I thought, my God, I'm already hitting 265. This is going to go well. And then a whole host of decisions, whole host of illness, whole host of problems kept me away. Now I'm kind of coming back to that same philosophy. And I mean, the RDLs did really well for me. Like squatting, deadlifting, all of that worked really well. The bar was in my hands the whole time during the set for 5 sets of 5 at 200. Now I'm doing conventional deadlifts for a set of 10. Now, deficits didn't help me. I know RDLs helped me, so that's the opening thing. RDLs helped me because I set a PR in the deadlift. And I had an amazing squatting period. I did sets of 5 with 190 kilos. I was on pace to do, wonderful things. And so I know that worked. The deficits didn't really do anything to me other than almost give me a freaking hernia. That really was stressing the hell out of my anterior core, and I was stressing out that I was going to get a freaking hernia, so I moved away from that. So then okay, let's do rack pulls, block pulls. Similar to RDLs, but a little bit different. I spoke about this before. I don't like RDLs. Towards the end of the RDL block, I was like, man, I hate walking out 200 freaking kilos. Like those few steps are just shit, basically shit. I didn't really enjoy that bit. So I thought, okay, block pulls, rack pulls, it's basically like an RDL to some extent. There's some similarities without the walk. So I kind of got excited for that. Did that. And I can say, I'm honest, that didn't work either. Like it did not produce the same effect that the RDLs did. So now I'm back to deadlifts. I know they're not RDLs, but if I'm going to do this, let's do the whole freaking walk around the block and see what's up. So deficit pulls didn't work. Block pulls and rack pulls didn't work. So now I'm back to conventional deadlifts. They're easier to me than rack pulls. I've always said like it feels like easier because there's some leg drive, right? Like I feel like it's not just isolated to the freaking lower back and hamstrings and glutes. Like I feel like it's more range of motion, and sometimes more range of motion is easier. Like there's more muscles involved, and you feel like you can get it going. So I'm excited about that, and so much so I actually thought, okay, I actually thought to myself, how many reps on a good day? Today wasn't a good day, but how many reps could I do with 200 kilos on the deadlift? I started thinking, I was like, man, I've done 200 for a set of 10, maybe like 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, something like that. I've done it. And it was a pretty good set, and I reckon I could have had 1 or 2 more. And I thought, oh man, so I know I don't like these online calculators for 1 rep maxing and all that stuff, but I thought, okay, so let me put that in the calculator. So I can do 200 for a set of 10. I put that. I went on Google, typed in 1 rep max calculator. Some website popped up. I think it's called Central Strength Tester Calculator or something like that. That popped up, popped it in, 200 kilos for a set of 10. And what spat out was actually quite interesting. My max, 1 rep max, according to these numbers, was 266. Which is funny, right? Because my max currently is 265. So it's pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate. And so I thought, Jesus, man, I reckon, maybe this is foolish or not. For some reason, I have an affinity to reps. Like for me, reps are less scary than sheer weight. And I thought to myself, man, I reckon I could push 200 kilos for a set of 15 on a good day. I honestly think I could do that. Maybe I'm talking crap, maybe I'm not, whatever. But then I thought, okay, what if I did 220 for a set of 10? So I put that number into the calculator. What spat out was frankly unreal. I don't know if I believe that. What spat out was 293 kilo for my max. 290, that is a lot of weight. That's a big jump. Obviously 20 kilos extra on your set of 10 is also big, but it does not seem as intimidating as a freaking 293 kilo deadlift. Like that is huge. What utility that has in all of this, I'm not sure, but I thought to myself, man, that's, like the deadlift is one movement that's never hurt me. It never freaking hurts me. Never. With squatting, the more I push it, the more freaking the hips hurt. That's kind of the story with that. But with deadlifts, I'm like, man, off the ground, like I'm pretty confident with that, So I thought, geez, man, like I've spent so much time with these rack pulls and block pulls, and I didn't really see anything. Same with deficits. But I reckon if I could get my conventional deadlift off the floor, even if I say 210, if I can get 210 for a set of 10, what's that? I don't know what the number is between 265 and 290, whatever. Let's say 280 or 275. That's beautiful, man. So that is one way I could kind of tackle all of this. I did today, set of 8, set of 6, set of 4. I'm probably going to be sore tomorrow because I haven't done off the floor deadlifts, and they felt long as well. Usually when I do these 1 rep sets that I do, like singles, it's just over so quick. Like there's very kind of limited time under tension. But these reps, like I was touching the floor with the plates, and there was such a long time under tension. I kept thinking to myself, man, this is producing a lot of damage to my body, man. Like I can already feel like my lats are probably going to be sore, my traps, my hamstrings definitely going to be sore. But it's kind of exciting, man. It's kind of exciting to me to go down this path again, because maybe I was mistaken. I have a successful period where I did the RDL start of the year in January. I think it was like middle of January. I started doing RDLs, and I was like, no, it's just a posterior chain movement. It is, but there's many different kinds of posterior chain movements. Maybe the story why RDLs were so effective, especially towards the squat, is because when you are squatting, the time under tension is it's endless. So when you're doing a set of 5, with 180 kilos, it's kind of similar to a deadlift with 180 kilos. The weight is always on top of you. It's always there, especially when you're bouncing up and down with these RDLs. You're working that hip extension in constant tension. With the rack pull, it's different. Block pull is different. You're having some sort of respite between sets, between reps. So maybe the key here is the tension, time under tension. It's just how my brain started kind of running with it. Maybe that's the story here. Maybe I just need time under tension. I think these deadlifts, they're very, very similar to an RDL. Like I said, it's just a longer range of motion. I'm not letting go of the weight. And I just keep, repping this stuff out. So this could be an interesting way for me to go about it. What I like about this the most is that I can't get hurt with this. Nothing's going to hurt. My hips are going to only scream in joy the more I hit my posterior chain. With that, I'm going to tuck in a lot of sit-ups to balance everything out. And I'm going to still try to front squat. Now, the front squatting business is going to be interesting because, I don't know, man, these shoes are freaking challenging me like crazy, man. I don't know whether it's them alone, but I'm finding it freaking hard to front squat in these shoes, man. Like, I thought the Chuck Taylors, the Converse shoes, I thought they were flat. But clearly not. Clearly they still have some sort of a little bit of a heel, because the transition has been like crazy, man. Like I feel like I'm really struggling with my mobility to front squat in these flat shoes. So I don't know. Let's see what happens. I mean, today I ran on the treadmill for 500 meters on my toes. Calves got pumped once again. And I thought to myself, okay, yesterday I struggled with the squat, so let me jump on the staircase, on the Stairmaster. Did that for, 5 minutes? Got to the squat, and my calves were still freaking pumped, And by the time I started squatting, I was like, oh, this is shit. This is not feeling good. Like, I feel like I'm leaning over like crazy. The back squat also felt that way. And this is where kind of my ideas started shifting towards the deadlift. And this is where the brainstorming happened for this. Like, I could have gone for the rack pull. But I've given the rack pulls now, I think it's pushing 2 months. Basically 2 days a week I've been averaging, except when I've been sick for that week. I've been averaging basically 2 sessions a week of heavy, RDLs, basically rack pulls, working up to a 260 on most days on the rack pull, shaving the weight back to 180, doing 3 sets of 10 minimal. Some days I've done 5 sets of 10. And I haven't really seen any carryover to either my squatting or my deadlift. Other than, I'll be honest here, other than I have been hitting 260 fairly, frequently in recent times. But I have not had the confidence to load up 270. I failed 270 once. So, it hasn't really produced. It's gotten me back to 260. You remember there was like a 3 months freaking period where I didn't hit 260 at all. Now I'm hitting 260 a fair bit of, fairly frequent, but I'm still not getting over the top. So I wonder if just a conventional deadlift, trying to get that, 210, 220 for a set of 10, if I can accomplish that, then I'll have a clear indicator that I'm better. And I'll have a clear indicator that this is going to transfer because it's the actual freaking lift. With the rack pull and the deficit pull, the leverage is a little bit different. The position is a little bit different. So you're always kind of wondering, will this carry over? With the conventional deadlift off the floor, this is it, man. Like, this is exactly the same starting position, starting everything. So you should have a really good carryover to the actual thing. So if I can add some weight to these reps, or if I can add some reps to this weight of 200, then I'll have a clear indicator that something has happened. Some sort of adaptation has happened. Some sort of gain has happened. And then I can, go into 270 with confidence to pull it off the floor. So, this is where these calculators, they have a, they have a, like a confidence angle at least. If the calculator spits a 1RM that's, 10 or 15 kilos higher than you are aiming for, based on the rep work that you did, then you're kind of going in like, man, the maths here is making a bit of sense. So I could be all right here. But the thing with the calculators, I'm not a mathematical major by any means, but the thing with these calculators is that the higher reps you use for the calculator, the less accurate the results are going to be. And that makes sense, right? So if you punch in your, 5 rep max, and it gives you a 1 rep max calculation, that's probably a more accurate thing than if you're using a 10 rep max, right? Because it's closer to the goal, it's more specific, it's more relevant. So maybe like a set of 10 is a bit too far away. I'm not sure, but I think still it gives you some sort of a confidence thing, that some sort of device out there, some sort of algorithm out there is spitting out and giving you confidence. I guess that's a way to look at it. I don't know whether you guys use that at all. I haven't really used these calculators in the past. Sometimes I've gone on and I've kind of fantasized about certain things. Like, I remember putting in 180, because I've always found the mental challenge for absolute weight always more challenging than reps. So I remember putting in, what if I could squat 180 kilos for a set of 10? What would that give me? And I think the figure is, I forget now, I haven't done it in a long time, it's like 230 or something like that for your calculated 230 is crazy, for your calculated 1 rep max. 180 kilos for a set of 10, that is a freaking effort and a half. I don't know why it seems more doable to me than 230 in the squat, but it feels more doable. I don't know why. Because I feel like it's more about the mind, even though it's not. I feel like if I just, stay in there and fight the pain, fight the discomfort, I'll be able to get there. But with sheer weight, like 230 ain't moving, no matter what I do, man. It's just too much tension, too much force going through the system for me to overcome. But that's pretty much the same thing with the 180 for a set of 10 as well. Like, eventually you're going to run out of freaking resources for these muscles to contract, and you're going to just, fall on your face. But anyway, let's see how this period goes. I'm probably going to pull up sore tomorrow, but let's aim, what's today? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Let's aim for like a Saturday, to do this again. And on Saturday, I'll try to, hit 200. I'm going to say some stupid things now. I want to, I'll plan it out a little bit, right? So on the Friday or the Thursday, I'm not going to die on the squat. Although I say that, but I probably will. But I feel like I want to save myself for these deadlift sessions a little bit, some sort of programming there. But I want to come in on Saturday and try and get like 12 reps. That'll be really sick. But anyway, who the hell knows how everything goes. Maybe squatting is going to feel sick tomorrow and I'll freaking go crazy with squatting and do a reverse pyramid and go nuts. Anyway, guys, that's what's on my mind today. I'm substituting rack pulls for deadlifts off the floor, conventional, normal stuff. And let me see if I can get some numbers up. And let's see if it translates like the RDLs start of the year translated. Because I know that for a fact it was a successful bit of a mix of exercises. Appreciate all of you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.